What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves, physically, emotionally, and spiritually?
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago, we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique.
Help other people to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores Cannon has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT. Now you can learn her method by going directly to themoreshow.com/QHHT. And don't forget to mention the discount coupon More Talks. Well, Jen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Marvin, just thank you as well for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us on the show.
Well, it's great to have you both back on. It's been a while since you came on last. I will link actually any past shows that you've done in the description below. Anything we talk about on this show, if there's a link to it, of course you've got a new book, it's been doing so much, that will be linked in the description below. So you've been busy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's great to catch up with you because I know obviously you've started you've been on a journey for a new life for a while right now. I'm very happy for you that you are. I met you, I think, just before you started that journey, and so much has changed for you, which is amazing, and we'll get into some of the changes as well, especially with the work. So, just for people that may not have come across you before, Jen, just give us a bit of background as yourself as an energy healer.
I learned from a very early time in my healing work when I went to massage therapy school that I could move energy with my intention. So knowing that, I've learned how to move out stagnant energy from someone and clear it out so they can breathe in new life. So anything of channeling or psychic or mediumship, animal communication is all part of that. Moving out the stagnant energy so that they can breathe new life. And with that, I created a protocol of tapping, which anyone is welcome to find, is how people can breathe in that new life into themselves and move out the stagnant energy with my kind of help from afar.
Okay. I mean, we're going to get into all aspects of your work as well in a bit more detail. So this might be a bit of an extended interview as well. What are you working with when you're connecting with this energy? Do you have guides? Is there a team you're working with? How do you understand what this is that you're tapping into, literally?
It used to be working with a guide, and I was like the student. But at this point, it feels like standing at a vantage point with the guides from afar. And anything that Earth is going through or anyone is going through is like lower vantage point to me, where I can just see it, and it's like, that sweet little issue that needs to be moved out. They could be terrified like entities or poltergeists, and to me it's just stagnant energy. It doesn't bother me at all.
Right, okay. So when people come to you for a session then, what is the main thing they're coming for?
They don't know what they're coming for, but what they really need is what I do is I see the Akashic records of when in their past history this dis-ease occurred. And what I do is help them in that past life alleviate that core issue so it kind of like folds time and space, and then the dis-ease just can dissipate.
Wow, okay. Now, you've been doing this for how many years?
I've been doing it for lifetimes, but for this, it feels like I've been doing this all my lifetime, but I didn't realize what I was doing. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are doing the work and not realizing what they're doing, which is part of what we do in Jarvin Media, is help people understand what they are actually doing. But consciously, 15 or so years now.
Right. That's interesting. And since getting married, and I'm very happy for you, for both of you, how's this evolved the work? Do you think that this marriage was also part of the evolution of the work as well? And that was obviously a conscious choice maybe, or?
This was always in the works. This was always in the works. He was always looming in my future. And so the work has gotten incredibly stronger because I was doing both things. I was trying to survive physically while doing this badass battle and energy for humanity. Now I can just do the good fight for humanity, if you will, and move out the stagnant energy from Earth and all those intentions, while he has my back and he takes care of the physical work on that. And he's the strongest man I know.
Yeah, I can see that you know, it's definitely, and we're going to get into the work with Marvin in just a moment as well. Yeah, there's definitely an because do you think you're looking after yourself? There's a part of you that wasn't caring for yourself previous to meeting Marvin, in the sense that you were denying yourself certain things that come with a relationship?
Still am. He actually had a dream about it the other night. But yes, he's watching my back in that way too. He's forcing me to take care of myself in the physical ways that I never learned how to do in this lifetime, because I was doing the energy work ever since I came out of the womb. So he takes care of those aspects of me until I can strengthen my physical legs to do it. Right?
Yeah. And this has always been your passion?
Not consciously.
Really? Interesting.
Not consciously. I thought I was just this low class, trailer mentality kind of consciousness. But I always bucked the system, as far as I always had this sense of integrity or this inner connection that drove me to drive those around me a little bit into annoyance, because I wouldn't let go on the integrity aspect of things.
Okay. Well, let's just thank you for that. Let's just bring Marvin in as well. And Marvin, just very quickly as well, obviously let's get a bit of your background.
Well, to the extent that Jen's story is very compelling and, tragic in a lot of senses, mine's really boring. So my background is in mainstream corporate business. I trained as a strategy consultant, and I was part of a number of top-tier strategy consulting firms. And, I did that until, my mid-40s. And I had an aha moment about things about the human experience which were beyond the normal run-of-the-mill mainstream. And I went on a path of sort of searching for higher truth, higher consciousness truth. And in one way or another, happenstance got me to watch an interview that Jen was giving. I saw it on YouTube. And in that instant, I said, holy shit, this chick is the real deal. So I had a session with Jen, a private session with Jen, and this was about 2.5 years ago. And a whole bunch of really interesting things transpired, dreams and direct knowingness and so on. So we connected on social media and started to have conversations outside of a private session, which is very unusual for Jen, I should say. Jen wouldn't ordinarily have personal relationships with clients. But, you know, she found something in me, and I knew that Jen had a aspect of truth and working in higher consciousness beyond which I've ever seen before. And I've met a lot of intuitive people, energy healers, so on. And Jen was just next level. Long story short, we started to build a relationship in the virtual world initially because of COVID. Jen was in America, I'm in Australia. For those that can't tell the accent, it is Australian. I got a funny story about the accent might share in a second.
Do you know what people over here, right? They always say to me, the first thing they'll say, "You're Australian, aren't you?" I'm like, oh boy. Do you know?
Right.
Yeah,
well, see,
yeah.
I've got the reverse experience. So I spent 3 years in the UK, and when I was in the UK, everyone thought I was American. And then I spent about 6 months in the US, and everyone thought I was English, but no one could pick that I was Australian. So there's that. Anyway, back to the story. So long story short, we interacted on social media due to COVID initially, you know, on social media, Zoom, those kinds of things. I think there was a savior for a lot of people, and we committed. We realized very quickly that we are bonded in purpose, soulmates. You know, from the beginning, and I'm in the beginning of time. And so, in March 2022, Jen finally managed to come to Australia. We've been living together, and the work has just escalated since. And we have a mission, and I'm going to guess we're going to have a chance to have a chat about
Oh, yeah. We're going to get into that. Don't worry. Did you see yourself going down this path? I guess you didn't.
No, I think, look, if anyone ever would have told me 20 years ago that I'd be doing this, I would have told them they were just nuts. And I think that's a lot of people that sort of have this transformative experience will never have thought that they'd ever go down this path. These kind of transformative experiences, by their definition, are transformative. You know, it's chalk and cheese from, you know, one moment before to one moment after. And anyone that's had a near-death experience or out-of-body experience in that kind of way, not that I've had that, but they'll understand exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I suppose even for some people, right, that transformative experience could be, as you've done, gone into something completely different. But it doesn't have to be the spiritual stuff. Do you know what I mean? It could be something quite different, but still quite transformative. And like, you know, we just never know our path, do we? Really, we think we've got it all worked out, but actually we've got nothing worked out, because I think sometimes there's the soul that seems to know best, and I use that word very lightly, but there's something guiding us that's a part of us, but it's a bigger part of us that can see a bigger picture, knows what's best.
Yes, and what I'd say about that is the liberating thing and the amazing thing is when people find their purpose. Now, what is the inspiration for finding that purpose? I know what mine was, but everyone will have their own inspiration. Mine came through from my higher self, mostly in the dream state. I had a number of dreams that guided me towards the work that we're doing now. But I should say that, you know, in physical time and space, and Jen likes to fold time and space, but in physical time and space, there was a time lag between the direct knowingness and then realizing that purpose. And I would say right now that we are on, as much as we've been working, stepping towards this purpose for quite a while, I would say that we are right on the beginning of the treadmill right now.
Yes, well, for yourself as well, right? For you and Jen, yeah, most definitely. Purpose. That's a very I find that a difficult one. What about if I was to swap it to something like value fulfillment, like your fulfillment? Because purpose, this just for me, I find it very loaded. But if I was to take that away, I've gone more to where is my fulfillment? Where is that? I
That
want to get
works.
out of bed, and regardless if I make any money out of this, I am in joy, whatever that is.
I'll completely agree with that. I think
Okay.
fulfillment is a great way to describe what everyone is looking for. Unfortunately, not everyone has found it, but a part of what the work that Jen and I are doing is to help people find that and help 8 billion people find that.
Right, that's interesting. Yeah, and sometimes, as you say, there was a time difference for you. You know, it didn't happen straight away. And it obviously wasn't supposed to, right? For you both to meet and to do what you're doing now. But for other people, it's all different. We're all on different courses. Yeah, it's a very people are trying to find it, but sometimes we're in such resistance caused by past lives that, you know, it takes a few 2x4s over the head or really difficult situations to go through until you're like, hang on a minute, I'm just not doing this no more. I'm gonna go to whatever that is, regardless of what people think of me. Do you know what I mean?
100%. I think that's a topic that Jen should pick up on because she knows a lot about this.
I don't think your story is boring either. Actually, I think it's there's so many people in the spiritual side that just can't seem to, you know, get the bloody business side going neither, because, you know, it's that whatever it is from past lives or whatever that's causing them not to want to feel that they can make money from what they're doing. There's so many that suffer from that, and I think you know, you shine a different light on that totally with the background that you come from as well.
Yes. So a lot of people do probably have a bit of a poverty consciousness in the spiritual community. But as much as I've had a background in mainstream business, and most of my experience is in large corporates, so not the smaller entrepreneurial end of the spectrum, I'm not going to for 1 second suggest that it was easy for me and for Jen to get our current venture off the ground. It is a constant effort.
But you love it. The fulfillment's there, so, you know, it's what keeps you going.
It is our destiny to do this. There is no other option than to do this. If there was another option, there just isn't another option.
Well, what I love what you guys have done as well. You've got a new platform called Jarvin Media. So just very quickly, tell us what Jarvin Media is about as well.
I'll start, and then Jen can come in as well. So Jen and I and a lot of people have been disenfranchised for a long period of time in the social media platforms and within the spiritual community. Our purpose is to ignite universal empowerment, and in doing that, bring about, for the better part of 8 billion people on the planet, perpetual abundance, health, and success. So we figured that if that's our purpose and that's our intention, then we need a platform to allow us to do that. And traditional social media wasn't cutting it for us. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they're all tainted. And the really important thing from our perspective, as much as we create a lot of high-value multimedia content, videos and podcasts and interviews and hundreds of hours of content will be put in the catalog, that's all great, and it's really valuable information. People are drawn to that. But what they're really looking for is a community and a connection. And the thing is that as much as Facebook initially created an online community, it is now so tainted that we really couldn't sort of move forward in that way. So We created our own platform. We are using a confluence of technologies, which, technology is really important. And but it allows us to do what we're doing within Jarvan Media. But I would say the important thing about Jarvan Media is the community, the connection.
Yeah, I think that's most important. I think even nowadays, if you speak to like YouTube experts right now in the times that we live in, I think they'll say community over anything when it comes to creating a platform or creating an audience. And so, how does it work with Jarvan Media then? So, what aspects have you got of it? Where do people go?
Where do they go? So we do put a lot of video content on YouTube, and of course that is free. We don't monetize our YouTube channel because we don't want to sort of bring in the whole sort of advertising side of things, because again, that's kind of not consistent with our intention and purpose. So we do put a lot of content out on YouTube for the purposes of building an audience. But the primary direction is to move then people onto the Jarvan Media platform. So if you were to type into your browser jarvan.media, it's as simple as that. It's not .com or anything else. It's JARVIN.media. Type that into your URL bar. You'll get onto our website, and there's a button that will allow you to then explore what Jarvan Media is all about. It is a membership platform. We've got a number of membership tiers, from what we call the Explorer tier, which is very affordable for those that want the premium content without the advertising and the BS that goes around YouTube and Facebook and other platforms, all the way up to what we call our aspirant plan, which is a plan for those that are committed to their own empowerment, and in empowering themselves, when enough people do that, that then triggers universal empowerment, which is the ingredients, the antidote to a lot of the issues that humanity is facing. And, we are here to ignite universal empowerment and positively impact 8 billion people on the planet. The only way you can do that is to build an audience. And so the content we're creating, the insights we're creating, the understanding that we're creating is all about building an audience. Without an audience, if no one sees our content, we're not fulfilling our purpose.
So if anyone's watching this and they're thinking, oh, you know what, this sounds great, I'd love to contribute towards that, then, people can get in contact with yourself that might want to help in any ways they can do, whether, whatever it may be.
Yeah. As well as I do how hard it is to be a content creator on YouTube. And because most people consume the content for free on YouTube, it is a passion of love. So we will be looking for people to help. We do have a team of people that are currently helping us produce some of our content. But yeah, we're going to be looking to build that team.
Well, that's bloody fascinating that you're doing that. Very interesting, especially in these times as well. And there's so much opportunity right now. There really is. Okay, so we've also got a new book as well, which I believe has just come out, Igniting Universal Empowerment. Maybe if you wanted to start off talking about that, then we'll get to Jen, and because obviously, did you write this together, or?
Yeah, I'll hold it up. Does that come? So this is a pre-production physical copy. And we've just done the final proofread, and we've submitted it to the printers again. So we are now in full production. It is our brand new book. It is the foundation that underpins everything that goes on in Jarvan Media. The title of the book is called Igniting Universal Empowerment, which is the mission of Jarvin Media. The subtitle is A Rallying Cry for Humanity, because there are so many things going on in humanity from the level of the collective, which I'm going to be honest with you, Kevin, humanity's facing some pretty significant issues. And if we don't sort this out now, this is our best opportunity to uplift humanity into the fifth dimension, which is what so many way showers for decades and decades have been talking about. And we're here, we've got the platform, we've got the book, which is the foundational understanding and knowledge, and we're doing the work. This is it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the world is, well, it is what it is. It's where we're at collectively. And I think many people feel the calling to want to, try to do something. It may not be their first, drive, but people do feel it. There's lots of changes going on right now. I can understand why you feel that passionate about what you're doing as well, especially with the platform. Was there any sort of takeaways from the book as well? Just so we're talking about the book. I mean, do you go into what do you go into in the book as well? What were some of the highlights from the book, would you say?
Wow, interesting question. The highlights. Fundamentally, we're laying down a series of core tenets of truth, if you like, or understanding about the nature of universal consciousness and the human experience, and how that leads into helping empower individuals and then empower the collective. And we navigate our way through, in the book, a series of truths and understandings. And we're often asked, what was the motivation to write the book in the first place? And look, the practical reality is that there are lots of books about spirituality and sort of metaphysical principles and concepts, and I've read my fair share of them, to be honest, over the years. But one thing that I've always found is that a lot of them are written in riddles, and it's like, okay, but what do I do with this? And so the motivation in writing the book was to package into a small number of pages core tenets of universal consciousness and the human experience in a way that the layperson can understand. Some of the ideas will shock and confound a bunch of people that have never thought about these ideas, and that's good. But more importantly, we are providing in the book a resolution to, in energy, take the higher vantage point, become empowered, and not become the victims to all the agents of disempowerment that exist. So,
well, yeah, I mean,
and there are many.
There's many, I mean, I've got colleagues and friends who, very much into the spiritual kind of subjects, but now they're very much into the political stuff, right? And I'm like, how did that happen? And it's all they want to talk about, which is fine, but there's never a solution. It's
right.
Yeah.
So that's actually a really interesting segue into why the book is so important. So there are so many issues that the collective is facing, political, social, divisiveness, inequality, war. We don't need to go into all of them. There are so many issues. Now, the thing is that none of these issues are new. They've existed for a little while. AI is a little bit new, but, by and large, the core human collective issues are not new. They've existed for a long period of time, and they are man-made. And so if the resolution to these issues were at the same level of consciousness that created the issues in the first place, then it would have been solved a long time ago. The point is that we're still here. And so a lot of these issues can't be resolved at the same level of vantage point and low level of consciousness that created the issues in the first place. And so the point is that humanity needs to take the higher vantage point, raise their consciousness, and become empowered, individually empowered, but collectively empowered, because that really is the only path to resolving the human condition. And no one wants this path and trajectory to continue, except for those that benefit from it. But the vast majority of people, they want what the way showers have been talking about for decades. They don't know how to get there. This is the path to get here, but you need to get on board. That's the call to action for humanity.
Yeah, and is that solution to the call to action? And we'll bring Jen on in just a moment. Is that solution going into what you really want to do, what really fulfills you, which on the outside, for some, though, may not be to answer any of these questions. It may be doing whatever it is they're going to do. But I get told by so many different channelers and so many different people with gifts, and whether, the thing I get told, the core theme is live in purpose, which I don't like that word, but live in fulfillment. Live in your passion. And yeah, it's got nothing to do with, what seems to be trying to help the world, right? But they keep saying it has a direct ripple effect to so many other people, just even around you, that, it changes so much. And that is part of the solution to some of these bigger problems. I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah. You really need to bring Jen in at this point, because you're absolutely right. We're talking about the ripple effect.
Yeah. Jen, and thank you for what you had to say as well, because I absolutely agree with you. So, Jen, so, okay, as Marvin was saying there, all these issues in the world, and more and more people right now are divided and very much into the problems. But if only they concentrated on what it is they'd love to do, right? But how does that help? I know it helps the people and it makes their life happier, but maybe that's what they're supposed to do, and that has some sort of ripple effect to making the world better. Jen, what's your take?
So you got to think of it from a different vantage point. Think of it as an allotment of energy. Every individual has an allotment of energy. And if they hold that allotment of energy, and every individual holds their allotment of energy, all is well. There's a balance with all beings, and there's a fluidity to energy. But you have these takers who are literally taking the energy of individuals and saying, "You're nothing. You need me. This is important." And they deplete the energy of the individuals, and they stockpile it. And once they have it, they use that sense of being more important to control all individuals. Now, when the channelers are telling you to do what you love, they're basically saying, take back your empowerment. And it feels so overwhelming, because you have something that started in past lifetimes, takers, nefarious intentions, making you feel less than, rejected, abandoned, isolated. So the work that Jarvin Media does now is it trains people to take back their empowerment with these simple SFT protocols and the connection to a collective. And in that, they gain their confidence and their energy. Now, I'm considered a shaman, and a shaman is someone who moves energy. So what we're doing in Jarvin Media is I'm helping these individuals actually literally, and I know how to use literally, take the energy back from these power mongers, which are the ones listed in the book, and give it back to the individuals and disperse it to billions of beings.
And as a soul, as an eternal being, we knew what the game was before we came down here. We knew that was, and we, if we have a remembrance of, what we are, then obviously we knew that we chose to be part of that game. It's not there's like played upon us. I mean, we've chosen to be a part of the pawn. We've all playing a part together.
So here's the thing. Part of that reasoning, which happens in the mental realm, is part of the lie, the bullshit that keeps you entrenched in staying and playing the game. Like, it's an apathy that creates, like, oh, we knew this was meant to happen, so all is well. And it's a means of giving over your empowerment. So you have to challenge anything you're told, even from the spiritual, because if you go by anything that was already mainstay as far as even a spiritual person, it's still locking people into apathy. That's why a whole new understanding needs to be birthed.
Yeah, I mean, there's sometimes I've said on these interview shows that, all I believe really is that life continues. But look, I could go on with everyone else's truths, but I've just got to a point in life where, yes, I feel that life does continue, and we've probably been here before, played all this, but do you know what? I've got to a point in my life where I am no longer saying to myself, well, I'll do it next life. Do you know what I mean? Or, I'll no. Forget all that. You've got this one life. Make it your best life. No matter what age you are or where you're at on the path, you've still got the power to get into that passion, get into what you really want to do. It's all excuses otherwise, for many reasons. But I know there's timing, and I get all that, but don't forget what it is that's really, what is your value fulfillment? And if you've got it, great. For some of us, we've been finding it for a long time.
Yes, and the beauty of being able to see Akashic records and see those past life blueprints for everyone, individuals and the world, is to know that so many people who have an inkling of truth came here in this incarnation specifically to help with the upliftment of humanity. And by doing that, it might be just be doing what they love, but it might take all their efforts to just do that.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes we spread ourselves too thin as well, I think. I'm so guilty of that.
Yeah, and that's why whenever we connect, Kevin, you know how much I support you, and you know how much I pour my appreciation for what you do. Because if you're the bridge for 8 billion people finding Jarvin Media, then you're doing what your purpose is, and what you're doing is amazing, and it's enough, and it's empowering everyone else.
Yeah,
you don't have to.
No, yeah, this isn't going to be my only purpose. It's not.
Mm-mm.
It's not. I feel pulled elsewhere, and but I think this will be always there, but it's not the main.
Right.
Okay, so for people to realize that they're this eternal soul, that's part of that process. You feel, not to get carried away in it, but just to know that can you not feel that well, some of us can't, can they? I suppose it would. For some people, it wouldn't register. But I think it does allow you to break free of some certain thinking when you realize how eternal that you are, and that this is, there's an empowerment, I think, of like maybe giving some power back to yourself, that you can go and do what you want to do, and it's okay.
Absolutely. But the thing is, people don't know how to do that. So in Jarvan Media, what we provide for others is they have been programmed and conditioned over lifetime and generation over generation to give their power away. If only they had a place where they could rest energetically, not be energetically taken from, but just take a breath and just realize how empowered they are. That's what we're providing. One of the things we're providing in Jarvan Media is to allow people to get a sense of themselves as a multidimensional, more than one lifetime being.
Yeah, and feel less disempowered.
Yes, because what we're not doing is people have been habitually drawn to find someone to save them. That's the upgrade, is they are their own savior. So they turn from an outer external search to an internal search, which is a huge upgrade in itself.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. And this all fits in then with your SFT work as well, which was the core of everything you've done.
So if people actually understood in energy what they were taking on, if they consciously knew what they were taking on in energy when they were doing this SFT tapping, it would scare the bejesus out of them. But see, I'm like the mother in a way that sends her little child off. They want to walk to school on their own. So she's behind the bush, making sure they're safe the whole way. So I'm basically allowing people to be empowered and do the walk to school, walk to higher purpose, thinking they're doing it on their own, while always watching their back and never taking anything away from them in that.
Right, absolutely. What about people who feel that their issues are kind of always there? Do you know what I mean? No matter how much they work on them, they're always coming back. They're always, just they can't seem to shake them off in a sense. They can't seem to move forward.
That's because they are. Those are what I call engrams, which is the past life memories and the pictures that I see of when it happened in past lifetimes, and we pull those back into us through our DNA, and that is rebuilt into the fetus of the next soul, the present soul. So what we do in energy is interrupt those patterns. Actually, we do fold time and space, where if you eliminate that first cause, the initial trauma, it collapses all the trauma with all those lifetimes between then and now. And it sounds far-fetched, but people feel it immediately. People get direct results from doing the SFT tapping, to doing that.
Interest. Yes, I've had you on in other interviews, and yeah, that's right. It's quite amazing. And this has been a lifetime work for you, like you said before at the early stage of this interview. So I think some people, well, not some people, maybe a lot of us, some of that purpose, some of that passion, some of that stuff that we really want to do, it can build up from past lives. And it's screaming at you in this life, right? Because you've not dealt with it in all those lives, and this is one that you could actually deal with it. So my point is, sometimes what's screaming at us is also something very deep for some of us that, on the surface it won't make sense for people observing it from the outside, but actually it's all to do with what you've been up to before.
Absolutely. And the people who it's screaming at the most, the people who are in the most struggle and the most pain, are the ones who are so much closer to that precipice of figuring it out, because their higher self is screaming to them, get it right, break through that apathy and do it. Just do it. You'll be so much happier when you're empowered.
I'm at that point. I can totally resonate with that. I really can. And I'm listening. I am. Okay. Thank you for that. So people have a lot of struggle around spirituality as well. Being spiritual, or just the idea of, like, what does it mean? What does it mean to you as, with where you are now on your path?
For me, it means outflow. That's all it means. It is like, whenever you're introverted, whenever you're thinking about the self or the human self, it's drawing the energy into you. I call it like switches on the vacuum cleaner. Either you're sucking everything in or you're blowing everything out. So if you're sucking everything in, what do they tell you when you're depressed or when you're struggling? Go and do service, volunteer somewhere, because that shift from influx to outflow is the start of it. Now, Marvin and myself have been outflowing so much that it's it's necessary for us to even outflow even more and more. So synergizing our purposes and gifting our intentions to 8 billion and more is our way to keep and continue outflowing. And that maintains our balance so that we can continue on our purpose in balance.
And then for some people, I guess enlightenment's a big thing for some people. For myself, I don't know. I think it's a journey and I don't really think about it too much. But for those who may be concerned about that, what is enlightenment? Am I reaching enlightenment? But, what does it mean to you?
Enlightenment, actually, there is a process to enlightenment. And what it basically is there's the higher consciousness, there's the self that's aware right now, and then there's the ego in the middle. And the ego mandates a lot of what we do in the unconscious physicality, because the ego likes drama. It likes a lot on the plate. So enlightenment is actually the process of transcending the ego, putting the ego back in check as just a mechanism of the body and the energy system, and being able to connect consciously with your higher self anytime you need to operate at a more clear present, as a more clear present being.
Now, you're somebody, I think, thank you for that, you're somebody who sees a world of peace rather than, a world that's on the tilt, in a sense, right?
I see both.
You see both. Okay.
Yeah.
For those who, I guess, are listening to this and it may be a bit confusing, you're not saying you see both, so you don't ignore what's going on, but have we covered? Yeah, I think we have. Like the way forward, really, in these times and times like this, is what for you? Would you say? I mean, I was going to say it there, but I'm probably let you say it. But what does it mean for you to what is a way to move forward in these times?
Well, for what we've offered is the Jarvin Media platform. The SFT protocols is affording someone a place to work on their empowerment through their daily struggles. And when they come against something like a person, a situation, or an issue that's a trigger from a past life that's just going to knock them on their back, they have access to me in the Jarvan Media community. And I always see myself doing like a Dare Abby kind of thing years ago. And this is a way that they can ask their questions in real time and get an answer to set them on their course again without having to reassess their whole existence to do so.
Right. And I think for those who may only just watch this interview, for example, right, just right now, I think you probably would agree that going with love is a better choice as well. We can all go into regret, fear, complaint, whatever it is that we, some of us, I do as well sometimes, right? But actually just coming from a place of love and compassion for others as well.
But how do you do that, Kevin? I mean,
that's my question as well. Yeah.
Well, when you've been beaten up so much, how do you do that? So you have to be trained, because so much of humanity has been programmed and conditioned to be in primal mode, which is fight or flight, which is fear-based. To be able to sit back and to think for yourself, they have to have a safe space where they can knock themselves out of primal mode and just feel safe enough to be aware enough to think from a different vantage point. So we train people to raise their vantage point, to look at what you're doing to the other person, to reconnect to the collective, because the suffering that we cause on the other side of the world is coming back to the suffering that we have in our own physical bodies. That's the disconnect. So once we reconnect to the collective and realize, hey, we're not going to stop our pain until we work on stopping the pain of others on the other side of the world, then it comes home to us that we need to take the higher ground. There's got to be a self-interest in it, or else the ego won't let us move forward.
Yeah, and getting into that passion as well. I'll keep banging on with that. Absolutely. And seeing, everyone as an aspect of yourself as well, with difficult people, I suppose, or whatever situation you may be going through. Everything's an aspect of us, isn't it?
Well, that's why I'm so good at doing what I do, because it's hard for people to fathom, but the abuse that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of this lifetime has been my research. So any client that comes to me with any situation, anything, I can pull it up from my own Akashic records and my own memory, and I can match the vibration of what they've experienced. I match their vibration in pain, and then that validates them, and then I can pull them up to a higher vantage point with me. It's almost like grabbing them by the arm. Okay, we're connected in vibration. Grabbing them by the arm, pulling them out of the bullshit, and allowing them to see themselves at a higher vantage point.
Absolutely, yeah. And you would see because you went through your story in previous interviews, and you've done it on other shows as well, where we talk about the abuse that you suffered. But like you say, you see it as this was just part of the journey. Yes, you've healed it in a lot of respects, and but it's helped you. It's what's made you who you are, and how you're able to help people as well.
And I'm not in a vacuum that way. When people take their story and everything they've been through, instead of seeing themselves as a victim, which is a very low level of consciousness, and say, wow, what have I learned from this? And how does it help me connect in compassion to the next person? They'll see how rich and fortunate they are to have those experiences. That's the first step they need to do.
Yeah, and a bit of detachment as well from things, I think, is also helpful.
That is the detachment.
Okay, yeah. I guess it is.
See, you gotta help people by those words, like you gotta be detached, you gotta love yourself. People don't know what that means. So you gotta move them through that without telling them what you do, because you're sneaking up on the ego. It's part of what I do in private sessions and what we do in Jarvin Media, is you're sneaking beyond the ego to allow people access to the higher self without them ever realizing that they're being helped in that way, or else the ego will shut it down.
Right. And after all these years of doing this work, Jen, I mean, I'm going to ask you to put this into human words, but, everything we're talking about really is energy, right? But what is it? I mean...
So I see the negative Akashic records of everyone, right? Underneath all of those are the good Akashic records of joy, love, abundance, being, freedom, health, success. So energy is this nothingness state, which is love. Love in the higher realms beyond the ego isn't a rush of, sexual sensation. That's running it through the endocrine system. Love in the higher realms is just this peace and this nothingness. And that's where we all exist as divine beings. It's getting to that point without being sabotaged by the ego, making it something with the vibrations of lower consciousness in them.
And do you think there's we talk about Akashic records, or Akashic records for people, but do you think there's Akashic records for planets? And
absolutely. So the work, I don't want to shock you, but the work I do isn't just on Earth. So all these people who are worried about conspiracy theories and what's going on out there, the work we do with the SFT protocol and the Jarvin Media is assisting all the lower worlds, which is all the planets. And I've seen the work that we've done on other planets and how it's assisting other souls. Now, the karma of Earth has been kind of as a victim. It's been derailed from its purpose. Earth is an important place. I see Earth as like the heart chakra of the lower world. So the work we do on Earth may be the hardest work that any soul has ever done in all the existence of souls on any planet. But that's how strong and important it is, and that's why we're here to do it.
Yeah, but it can also be very great as well. It can also be very beautiful, but it depends where you are on your journey, and you're in charge of it all.
Right. Some of us
I like to think, yeah.
Well, some of us have Akashic records where we remember being abandoned on Earth. We were from another planet. We were abandoned on Earth. So that comes up in people's sessions. Those people are the ones that resent being on Earth and may not treat Earth as a sacred mother. They treat it more like a neglected stepchild. So when they release that belief that they are abandoned here and resent that and start loving this Earth as their sacred space, then that's a game changer for a lot of souls, right?
Mm-hmm. Are you coming back on another life? You going to do it all again?
I'm not planning on going out this lifetime.
I'm joking. I know exactly.
Right. Well, that's an important. That's a mentality of running away. Anyone who wants, there is no running away. There is no getting away from it. You're here to serve humanity and outflow through beyond infinity. So yeah, do the work.
Can I weigh in for a second, Kevin? One of the interesting sections in the book, the foreword of the book, we talk a little bit about Jen and my soul story over many, many lifetimes. And so there's the question that you asked is relevant to this conversation, in that, would you want to come back and do it again? And the interesting thing about what Jen and I are doing is that the work that we're doing right here, right now, is not our first rodeo in doing this kind of work and doing it together. We've been here before. And for one reason or another, we have had the higher intention and purpose of, uplifting all of humanity, the lower worlds, and all of those good things. But for one reason or another, it has been derailed. And so we're back at it again. We're doing it in this life. One of the things that Jen says a lot, and I'm going to get you to come in again, Jen, is that once you realize yourself as an eternal soul, having many incarnated lives for the purposes of expanding universal consciousness. A little bit earlier in the interview, you're chatting with Jen, you're asking, what's it all about? And I've asked that question. Lots of people have asked that question. Unfortunately, a lot of people haven't even contemplated that question. But if I try and boil it down with Jen's assistance, right, because we've kind of been tic-tacking on this for a little while, if you strip away all the BS, all the riddles of spirituality and whatever, what is it all about? The best way that we've been able to describe it is that we are eternal souls. We are aspects of source, or an atom of source. Notice I didn't use the word God. Source, because God has a bit of a tainted connotation. It means different things to different people. So we're all aspects of source. We are eternal souls. We have many incarnated lives, not only on this planet, for the purpose of having a human experience on Earth, for the purpose of expanding universal consciousness. And so if you think about it like that, we're all connected. Now, one of the things that Jen says quite a lot is that because we've had so many incarnated lives and we've had all of the experiences and collected all of the karma that we need to, resolved a lot of it, but there's still a lot of unresolved karma. But most people incarnated today have had enough of those experiences that they've added to universal consciousness, that they are no longer compelled to, or if you like, forced to, reincarnate. And so you have a choice. And now would be a great time to bring Jen in to continue this conversation as to how you have that choice and how you exercise that choice.
So just like the individual, that was great, Marvin. Just like an individual has an ego that's preventing them from transcending to the higher self, there's a universal ego, the universal mind, which is preventing individuals from transcending as the collective. So what you need to do is to challenge everything that the universal mind is trying to do as far as diminish you as an individual being. And basically, that entails everything that you've been ever taught, learned, even in the spiritual circles. So there's a challenge to transcending the universal mind, and it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not. Yeah, there's something to that, most definitely. I mean, we only have a so-called teachers and books, don't we? But I think when you cross over, and that's just an analogy of it, right? Yeah, I can imagine it's so different to what we thought it was. Just limitations, so many limitations we put on ourselves, don't we? By saying this is the way, that's the way. Do you know what I mean? We're all trying to go on our own path to discover it. You're right. We need to strip down what anyone says and actually go within. I still go back though, even to the answer to that is live in passion. That's all you need to do.
But how do you do that?
Being true to yourself. So
here's the thing. Can I use your past lives, Marvin, to explain this? At least one of your past lifetimes? Marvin doesn't. This is what I see in Marvin's past lives. In a past lifetime, I was Alexander the Great's mother. He was Alexander the Great. And in that lifetime, Alexander the Great had everything. He conquered everything in the world as far as power. And he was still unhappy. Because Marvin has that memory of that, nothing he could do in the business world, nothing he could do in his physical world could bring a contentment to this man. It happens that he had that experience specifically so he could do the work that he's doing in this lifetime. Now, for myself, I was Madame Blavatsky in a past lifetime. See, I look just like her. So I was Madame Blavatsky in a past lifetime. In that lifetime, she built up this spiritual group, the purest thing she could imagine, and was at the helm of it. And she was helping people, seekers, to empower themselves. But what did they do? Other people in the group came along and knocked her out of it. So from that lifetime, I realized that I can't do it the same way anyone else can. I can't create a group consciousness for people to form because that'll be derailed. So the synergy of those two lifetimes together with me and Marvin are the driving forces for him not to be happy with power and me not to be happy in any group setting. So those things together are a synergy that's driving us even farther than most in serving humanity. So you have to use your personal experiences as the driving force and your lessons to how not to get entrenched again.
Yeah, but there is sometimes just something that you just know that this would be happy. This would be my happy spot. But some of us don't always want to give it to ourselves.
You know what? To me, happiness would be sitting in front of the TV, eating chocolate and whatever,
but
and being served.
Yeah, true. But for a fleeting moment, I'm talking about 9 to 5, getting up and doing and being part of what would, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, fulfillment. Even if you weren't earning lots of money from it, right? It just eliminates all that. I mean, that real deep down thing that which is what you guys are doing. I'm just saying it's different for everyone. It's different for everyone to get to that point. But I think we're saying the same thing, are we not?
We are saying the same thing. The only thing is that I personally believe the 9 to 5 thing is a trap for
Oh
most
yeah,
people.
I didn't mean it like that, but yes, so yes,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah, I agree there. Totally agree. Yeah, yeah. Um, I think when you're in your passion, I don't think there is, no, who cares about 9 to 5? You just want to do it. You know what I mean?
I
Regardless.
Right.
think a lot of people are beginning to realize that living their purpose is probably not found in conforming to societal norms like the 9 to 5 job, the
Oh,
corporate career path, the corporate
absolutely.
ladder.
Yeah, so true. And also not, it's not found in people that won't accept you for what you're going to do.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the great things about Jen is that she's so different and so
Fabian, thanks.
extroverted in those ways that she doesn't care what other people think. And I think, which is great, and I think a lot of people are starting to, possibly post COVID, think about their own fulfillment and how it's not being served by probably what they're currently doing. And maybe that is the 4x2 that is getting whacked on the back of their head to say,
Well, it's funny, in it, maybe COVID, not just from the millions that died from it, right, which we all soon forget about,
hmm,
right, but just the situations it put people in, and what came from those intense situations change to maybe break you to get to that point. And for some people, they'll need more pain, right? They just love the
hmm,
pain, right? So did I. Um, but for some of us, no, that was enough. The ramifications of what COVID did for some of us. Not directly having the virus, but just the issues that it caused personally for some of us. So yeah, and there'll be other times like this where great change is happening to break the mold of some people as well. That only something like that's gonna break it. So I guess everything happens for a reason, doesn't it? When you look back, um, yeah, I so agree with what you're saying, and we're all saying it in our own way, aren't we? Because we're all trying to figure it all out, aren't we? But we're kind of saying it in tangent. I totally understand what you're saying, having going through it myself. So and it's so important, and this is why the work that you're doing between you both is so important as well. Is there any websites that you'd like to share just before we have to go here? Because we'll put everything in the description below, but just in case you want to mention some websites.
yeah. So our primary website is jarvan.media. So if you just type in jarvan.media, no .com or anything, just jarvan.media, simple as that in your URL, that will get you to the main website. And from there, you will find ways to do a number of things. One of them is to sign up to the Jarvan Media newsletter, which is just the best way to keep up to date with everything that's going on in Jarvan Media. So, we'll email regularly, but not in a sort of disruptive way. Those that sign up, that, what's new, what's coming up, just so that people are aware of it. So that's number one. Number two, you'll be able to navigate your way into understanding what is being offered on the Jarvan Media platform, the membership side of things, and there's opportunities to become a member of the Jarvan Media community. One of the great things about that is if you do become a member of the Jarvan Media community, we are offering for free a PDF version of this book. And this our intention is that this is going to be a well-read bestseller. We are offering it for free for those that become a member of the Jarvan Media community. So please do that. And it's a great read. It's liberating. And the other thing is we do put content out on YouTube. So find
I
us
was just
on
going to say
YouTube.
that. Yes, you put some great content
Um,
out there. I'd highly recommend it.
yeah, yeah. YouTube, just go into YouTube, type in Jarvan Media, 2 words in the search bar. You'll find the YouTube Jarvan Media YouTube channel. But the thing is that the premium content is not available on YouTube. We do try and put as much on YouTube as is practically possible, because there is an outreach aspect of what we're doing. And it is important that we build an audience. It is important that we connect to, a good chunk of 8 billion people on the planet, as aspirational as that is. So YouTube is important. But the other important thing is that we, and in particular Jen, is withdrawing her energy from a lot of other social media channels like Facebook, like Instagram, like Twitter. To us, they represent dead energy. And so we're putting the energy into the Jarvan Media platform. So find us there. By the way, there's a lot of, just another quick call to action. Even those that are unwilling or unable to become a member of the Jarvan Media community can watch our material on the Jarvan Media platform for free. So if you want to watch the free content outside of YouTube, jump onto Jarvan Media, because probably about 80% of the content that we're putting up is available to be viewed for free.
Okay. Well, we've been putting the URL for Jarvan Media on the screen, but we've also just been putting screenshots of the website as well, so people can just see it just as it scrolls down, just to show the web page, and just other bits of information on there as well. And you've still got all your other websites, or is it all moving to Java?
Jarvan. So Genuine Healing's website is still up and running. If you want for those that want private sessions with Jen, Genuine Healing is the way to go for now. We will migrate it over at some point. We're just not there yet.
Okay, wonderful. So one day it'll just redirect to the new platform. That's great. Okay. Well, it's been interesting. It always is, but this one's been very interesting, actually. And I just want to thank you both for coming on. Thank you so much, Marvin, for what you had to say as well. That was really helpful to people. And if I can support what you're doing as well, which I will do in my own way. I will do. I think what you're doing is fantastic. I think it's a great idea, and you just got to keep going forward with it and just keep pushing it. That's all you've got to do, and you'll get there. Even in the quiet times, just got to keep going. It will break, because that's what people want, is definitely community. So that is fantastic. You're doing that. And Jen, any last words from yourself?
Yes. So people are programmed, especially those who are awakening. They're programmed to the spiritual programming. They want to be spiritual, they want to grow. But part of the aspect is to take the initiative. You have to take the initiative to get over the ego. And if it's just clicking on the Jarvan Media and getting the newsletter, or participating in the Jarvan Media at any level, it's a form of taking the initiative, and it's telling the higher self that, it's time to overcome the ego and get back to your purpose. I challenge people to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if people feel like Marvin said there, that they feel like they would like to get a session with yourself, then they can go straight to your website, which we'll just pop that on the screen as we speak right now, to get those sessions and book in. So, well, Jen, look after yourself, both of you, right? I've thoroughly enjoyed, Jen, getting you back on with Marvin as well. And very exciting what you're doing, and I'm, I know we'll cross paths again. Of course we will do. But it's very inspirational. So just thank you so much, both of you, for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.